Hey everyone, welcome to the October Fragrance Awards and happy Halloween if you are in the US or anywhere else that celebrates the spooky time of year. I actually filmed this a week ago, but you're watching it on Halloween, so I tried to bring you a little bit of a vampire look. My fragrance of the day before we get into the awards is the beautiful Tobacco Maniac from Theodoros Kalotinis, and you will hear about this then in the November awards. But really quickly, if you are a tobacco honey patchouli fan, woo, this is a powerhouse of a fragrance. We'll talk about it more next month, but check out this house and this fragrance in particular. So the Fragrance Awards, I've been doing this every month for quite a while, and I share with you a lot of the fragrances I wore over the past month. I can't fit them all in, but many of them, and I put them into faux award categories for entertainment and for review. So we're going to start off with the category of best for the season. And by the way, another absolutely fabulous fall day here in Central Virginia. It's cool. The wind is going through the trees. The trees still have their leaves and are pretty green. They're starting to turn. It's a fantastic day. But anyway, yesterday I wore Ombre de Alexandrie by Boucheron. Here you have a fragrance that's supposed to have some tobacco, but I can't say I pick up a lot of tobacco in this fragrance. More than anything, I smell a beautiful, thick, almost honey-like resinous amber along with vanilla and what comes across feeling like some warm apple pie. If you're into Angel Share, I get the tobacco now, of course, now that I said that I don't. I'm smelling it right here. Maybe because I have a powerful tobacco fragrance on and I'm seeing the similarities in here. If you like Angel Share, if you like Caltet Night, Oajan, any of those types of fragrances that have those ambery, fall, spicy apple pie, maybe even boozy types of vibes, you would probably like this. This fragrance is very long lasting. I would say it's moderately projecting, not across the room, but definitely about arm's length or beyond. My husband loved this on me. He kept sniffing me up and down my arm, kept sniffing my neck, kept trying to draw me closer to smell this. And it's not the first time that I've worn it, although I haven't worn it in a while. It is beautiful for fall, so encapsulating of all of the things that we enjoy about fall, moving into a month where we get to try warmer, spicier fragrances that play really well in cool weather. Beautiful vanilla in this fragrance too, so it's sweet and it's warm and it's a little spicy and it's rather captivating. Great fragrance and great bargain, by the way. I think you can find this in the neighborhood of $100 for the 4-ounce bottle. Next is the category of best everyday fragrance. And I would say this is a bit of a hidden gem. Are we up for another hidden gems video? I'm probably like overdue. I don't remember when was the last one that I did. And I have some beauties in my collection that are different from the ones that I featured in past videos, including this one. This is from Michael Malul, and this is 173 Candy. First of all, love this beautiful pink bottle, nice substantial bottle. And, oh, what a lovely everyday your skin but better type of fragrance. This might rival my favorite skin scent at the moment, which is Skin from Clean Reserve, because this one has even more sweetness than Skin does. Skin is like, it's subtle in terms of it. The sweetness in there has praline. This fragrance is a very light musk. The musk has a light texture, whereas there are some fragrances that have a really thick, almost overpowering musk. This is a really, I would say, thin. If it had a texture, it's like a thin, wispy cloud of musk with vanilla, some fruity notes that add sweetness. There's amber to add some depth and some dimension to this fragrance. I find this to be super interesting. Close to the body, you get a small scent bubble with this and not the greatest longevity, maybe like a half day's wear, and you have to reapply or it gets really soft as the day goes on. But absolutely lovely for day-to-day wear where you want to smell a little girly, a little sweet, but a little natural. Like someone would smell you but not really think you were wearing perfume. They might think it's the way that your hair smells or the way that your skin just smells after a shower or something of that nature. You would not knock people out with this fragrance. I could see this being a really fantastic office scent where I wanted to feel pretty and girly, but did not want to be perfumey in the space that I'm in or have people notice my scent rather than me, right? It's a compliment to your natural self in that way. This is a hidden gem, so let me know if you want to see a video like that, and then we'll talk about this some more then as well. Next is the best special occasion, and I had my husband pick this out for our date night, and he picked Rouge Malachite from Armani Privé, which folks thought was being discontinued at one point, but is still available. tuberose. You have to enjoy white florals, and tuberose in particular. That is the dominant floral in the fragrance, along with amber, a little bit of spiciness, a little bit of woodiness, but it is a creamy, elegant tuberose fragrance. I adore these bottles. I think the whole line, even the ones that I don't care for in this line, have really beautiful bottles. Absolutely refined, elegant fragrance, very sort of regal on the skin. You feel very ladylike or gentlemanlike if you wear this and you're a guy. I think it's a very mass appealing fragrance. Even if you don't like wearing this, I can't imagine that there would be anyone that would dislike the smell of this in the air from someone else, right? It's the person who wears this made an effort to smell good, show up as their best dressed self, as their best smelling self, and presents well. It's that type of fragrance, and it's sort of classic in that way. This is the kind of smell that to me never goes out of style. I do think that this is a universally appealing, elegant, special occasion fragrance, even for non-tuberose lovers. In the category of sexiest, there's no question. There was a fragrance I wore this month, went out with my husband, and I literally was pushing him off of me like, it's a little much. He was trying to sniff every nook and cranny of my neck. And yeah, so it is Sirrah from Tiziana Terenzi. Look, friends, I know that some of you are not into the DNA of this house, and I am so sorry for you. This fragrance was nothing short of an aphrodisiac. I'm surprised we don't have an announcement about additions to the family after me wearing this. Lots of fruit at the top, passion fruit, like really deep, juicy, dark smelling fruit, like passion fruit, quince, saffron, musk. It's a little bit leathery. It's a very strong fragrance, very projecting, very long lasting, it can be really overpowering. So if you like any of the ones in these gold bottles from Tiziana Terenzi, please spray lightly, or listen, spray with gay abandon, but know that you will probably be getting chased down to be sniffed. So this one is powerful. It lasted forever. It's like dark and sultry and mysterious. I'm going to say this though, because I know that a lot of folks, I shouldn't say a lot, excuse me, there's a percentage of you, a decent percentage of you, that just really cannot get into this house. And I can see why. I can see why the notes would be off-putting to some folks, in that they are really deep and powerful and kind of slap you around a little bit. So just know that as you're exploring the house, especially the line that are in these gold bottles, there's something else, as are the sea stars. It's really strong, and it's really fantastic it's all year round, but definitely fall and winter because of that saffron and leathery type of combination. Heavy on the musk, like many from this house are, not all. Not all Tiziana Terenzi fragrances are musk forward, but this does have a lot of musk, and this has a thicker texture of musk than, say, that 173 Candy from Michael Malul, which is really light and wispy. This is a heavy, dense thundercloud of musk ready to drop its rain on the land. Yeah, so beautiful, sexy, long-lasting, worth every penny. In the category of biggest surprise, sometimes, friends, we have to eat crow as reviewers, especially when we were a little bit harsh on a fragrance. I did mention that I liked this fragrance before, but I had it in an overhyped category in previous videos. And then I wore it again. I said that I liked it, and I meant that. I wore it again, and all of a sudden, it was like magic. So we're talking about Jardins de Misfa from Une Nuit Nomade. So I said that it was overhyped because I thought it was a little bit soft. It was nice and sweet and pleasant and girly and all the things pretty, but I thought it was a little bit soft and maybe nondescript in some ways. Well, I wore it again recently, and this is another one that my husband chased me down to sniff. Not quite as much as Sirrah. Like with Sirrah, it was a thing. It was a thing. This was more like he wanted to cuddle in with me and thought that it was a really lovely scent. And I have to agree. Maybe it's because, people talk about bottles macerating. I think what folks are probably meaning to say is that the fragrance actually oxidizes, anyway, we won't get into that whole thing, but the bottle oxidizes, meaning there's air introduced into the chamber and it does something to the fragrance and then as it sits longer, it just takes on a bit of a different character. Sometimes fragrances get a little bit deeper, stronger. And so I had the effect with this. It still wasn't super long lasting, like, an all day beast or anything like that. But I definitely got some good wear out of it. I'd say maybe in the 6 to 8 hour range. And it did make its presence known more. This is, so here's how I would describe this, a very soft, elegant, pretty rose, accompanied by sweetness from dates and a softness from almond. There are some spices in here too. I believe cardamom is one of the notes, but more than anything, it is a soft, sweet rose. Like imagine a rose accompanied by maybe a really thin syrup and made soft in texture by an almond, accord almond note. And so, yeah, I kind of have to eat crow about it being overhyped. Maybe it did deserve the hype and does deserve the hype. And so that's why this is the biggest surprise. And like I always say, sometimes, friends, you got to give fragrances several tries before you really understand it truly. And you can make up your mind about whether it is for you or not. I may change up the next two categories in the future because I am not sure that they are going to make sense over the long term, but for now they do. So we're going with best bottle, and I have to give it up for Masque Milano Madeleine. Really, all of the bottles from this brand are just beautiful. I love the frosted bottom of this with the weighted, glass down here. This reminds me, the top reminds me of the Guggenheim Museum in New York City, if you've seen that. It looks very similar to that, sort of like a spiral white structure. The fragrance is gourmand. It's considered gourmand, has a prominent note of chestnut. And as I mentioned in my Nutty Fragrances video, for me, chestnut smells like peanut butter on toast. Not just peanut butter on toast. And it's actually a comforting, nice smell for me. I like that smell. This is also musky and vanillic and has some milky, maybe even creamy tones. I would say it starts off milkier and gets a little bit creamier in the dry down. Really pleasant fragrance. I wouldn't say this is a love. I would say this is a pretty good like for me. I enjoyed wearing it. It had decent longevity and a nice scent bubble. And yeah, this is pleasant. And I really just enjoy the aesthetics of this bottle, the gold top. This is nicely done. Thoughtful design. And if you look closely, this is Madeleine, I guess, on here. This gold figure with the glasses and the hat. Very cute. Very cute. And then for the worst bottle, maybe people will be surprised by this. I did like these bottles when I first started to explore this house, but since I've been collecting and had a chance to see some really, really amazing bottles, this just seems kind of boring. It's the Kilian bottles. I said it. That doesn't mean I don't like the scents, but I do think we can get something a little bit more creative than these bottles with like the double snake head on the sides and the little gold plate. It's okay. It's okay. However, for the price and for what you're getting, because there are some fabulous, fabulous scents in the Kilian lineup, I'd love to see a little bit more creativity in the bottle form or maybe some variation depending on the type of fragrance that you're getting. That said, this is, by the way, Good Girl Gone Bad. This is, for me, a fabulous fragrance. Again, another tuberose fragrance that's maybe in that bubblegum direction like people describe with tuberose sometime. I do not think that Rouge Malachite is a bubblegum tuberose at all. It is a quintessential classic white, elegant floral fragrance with some spicy touches, as I mentioned, some woodiness and amber and all of those things. This is a much more playful, bubblegummy, youthful tuberose. And I love that it has a really prominent osmanthus note, which can smell like apricot. So think about that really sweet fruitiness with a very fuzzy, cloud-like texture to it, which makes this a nice fragrance to wear if you are wanting to feel fruity and sweet and girly. It can get a little bit cloying if you overspray because the osmanthus for me can get a little bit too sweet sometimes, and it is a thick texture in terms of the texture of fragrance. If you smell Good Girl Gone Bad, excuse me, if you smelled Love Don't Be Shy in the same lineup, that one is a little bit thinner in terms of the cloud-like texture, the marshmallowiness of it. This is thicker, almost like even like a creamy powderiness, if that is a thing. I like this. I think it has decent longevity, some good projection. It doesn't last you all day. And, you have to be a tuberose lover and you have to love fruity nuances to really get into this. It's supposed to have some woodiness in the base, and I do think you get some of that, but the primary players are that bubblegum, really fun, lighthearted tuberose, and that fuzzy, sweet osmanthus tone that you get with this. But I'd love to see this in a more creative bottle. That is all. The next category is my favorite, blind buy. I love a good blind buy. Yes, we should probably test beforehand, and I try to do that more and more. But on occasion, I like the daringness of a blind buy and to see whether it works out or not. This I got from the cosmetics company store. If you're a Tom Ford fan or a fan of any of the fragrances under the Estee Lauder umbrella, including Erin and those types, check out your local cosmetics company outlet store. You can get things sometimes half off and more. I've gotten Tom Ford fragrances up to 60 and 70% off. And so this is Tom Ford Noir Extreme, which I talked about in my warm and spicy video. I love this bottle. This could have been the best bottle in that category because of its stamping here, the elegance of this sleek black against this, what would you call this? Almost like a corrugated look. Little ASMR for y'all. Anywho, I love that this is like a warm auntie hug in a bottle. Vanilla and woodiness and some spices. A real like hefty dose of cardamom, and I believe nutmeg is the other spice in the fragrance, but mostly a sweet, lovely, deep, rich, opulent vanilla woodiness. I feel like this is sort of one of the unsung heroes of the Tom Ford line. We hear about Lost Cherry, Tobacco Vanille, and those kinds of fragrances. Not a lot of people talk about Noir Extreme, and it is good. But you have to like warm fragrances. You have to like I'm talking about the fragrances that make you feel like you snuggled into your auntie's bosom or your grandma's bosom for a hug, because it is a mature, grown-up, warm, spicy, sweet hug in a bottle type of fragrance. Very elegant. Also, I would not hesitate to wear this out for a night on the town or as an elegant fragrance if it was a dress-up affair. Noir Extreme. In the category of not a safe blind buy, meaning the fragrance might be off-putting for people and you absolutely want to sample before you purchase. So we know about this one. I had to put it in because I enjoyed the wearing experience, but oh my God, sometimes this fragrance can beat you up because it is so strong. It's like, boom, a punch to your nose. Oud Bouquet from Maison Lancôme. One of the last remaining ones of this line. I think this and maybe 2 or 3 others are still sold by Lancôme, and it appears that a lot of the line is being discontinued. At least we haven't seen it here in the United States. Whoa, what a powerhouse of a fragrance. So you see, not a lot is missing, even though I have worn this a lot. I've worn this a lot since I purchased it. Why? I made the mistake of spraying this about 10 times once when I first bought it. And I really thought that my husband was going to like literally divorce me. He was so disgusted with me when I was wearing this. He literally had to leave the room. It was so bad. Too much. Since then, I've learned to spray once or twice, 3 times if I'm feeling really footloose and fancy free that day. We know that this is a very sweet rose oud fragrance. Mostly sweet and mostly oud, probably less of the rose touch on there. Praline, vanilla, rose, oud, but the sweetness, it's like a deep, almost intoxicating sweetness, but also it's so deeply sweet and woody that it could feel a little bit rancid to some folks' noses if they're not used to that combination. The oud in here, it is a glorious oud. Not stinky at all. I don't know why can we stop? Like we always have to say that when we talk about oud. It's like we're babying the folks that hate oud. It's not stinky. I'm going to just stop and I'm going to just say it's a great oud, okay? Beautiful, strong, long-lasting. For those of you that like beast mode scents, you must have this in your collection. It is the beast mode of all beast mode fragrances, okay? Super good, really long-lasting, very much for cold weather. Don't make the mistake of wearing this in warmer weather. I mean, you can if you want to. I suggest waiting until it is very cool and the atmosphere around you can tussle with this fragrance, because it's going to fight everyone in its presence. So this is one. And then the other that I kind of have a small obsession with, and another one that my husband just chases me down when I wear, because when I wore this one, the chasing down was in like the sexy realm, like, whoa, babe, I gotta sniff you, right? When I wore Lineage from Amouage, the chasing down was more like, wow, you smell amazing. It was a different kind. So this fragrance is really challenging to describe because it's like a spa smell, except with incense, woodiness, aromatic touches. It's so elegant and strange and bizarre and difficult, almost like church incense meets spa oils. Oh my God, it's so so good. I'm not even going to bother telling you what the notes are because you won't understand what it smells like. So this is one that I would say you must sample before you buy. You'll either love it or you'll be repulsed by it. I think the bottle is gorgeous. This could have easily been best bottle. In fact, I think this bottle is much cuter than the Madeleine one, but I wanted to give Madeleine a little bit of shine. Madeleine, whatever. Anyway, absolutely glorious fragrance. By the way, this is available on Twisted Lily, and you can use my code Veronica10. I have a link in the description box below if you're interested in this. It's hard to get Amouage fragrances on discount, especially the new ones. The older ones you can find on Joma's shop. I have a link to Joma's shop as well, or other discount sites. Wherever you like to shop, friends, shop where you want to shop. I'm just letting you know that there are discount and affiliate codes below that you can save some money with. So, wow, beautiful, but not a safe blind buy at all. Next, we go to an overhyped fragrance, and I may eat my words here too, but I gotta say, of all the fragrances that I wore, this one is touted on YouTube as being an absolutely magnificent Christmas time, fall Christmas time, warm, spicy fragrance that people just rave and rave and rave over. I think it is really nice, but I do think that overhype going into like this is a 9 and 10 category is a bit much. I would put it at like a 7 or 8 maybe. Still really nice, but and I'm talking about Xerjoff Starlight. Okay, so when I sampled this, I mentioned that this smells like a tortilla to me, like a spicy tortilla. And I stand by that. I still get a lot a lot of like warm chips at the Mexican restaurant, warm tortilla kind of smell. There's cardamom and there's cinnamon, and I do get those prominently in the fragrance, and they are very nice. There's supposed to also be a strong almond and amber. And I would say those are, if they're there, they're less prominent. I can definitely see like or rather smell like an amber base. Cardamom and the cinnamon come through. And in that sense, it is a nice spicy fragrance. This has a very thin texture to me. I was expecting something a little bit more syrupy in texture in terms of how it feels in an olfactory sense when you smell it. So it's a little thin, it's light, it's airy, it's a little bit wispy, and it's fun. It's more like a whimsical fall scent. You know what? You know what? If you have tried Ginger Biscuit from Jo Malone, and you know how that fragrance has a really sort of thin, whimsical feeling to it. It's fun, it's nice, it smells really great. Love that fragrance. Paid full price for it. Have we talked about that? I think I mentioned that in a previous video. Yeah, because you know I like a good discount. This one I got on discount too. Anyway, how do we get into all of that? What I'm getting at is this has a similar texture as Ginger Biscuit does, in the sense that it's thin and it's wispy and it's whimsical and it's fun, but I can't take this fragrance super seriously because it's missing that like depth and heft that I appreciate in a mature fragrance. Still like it, still give it a 7.5, 8-ish kind of range, but I think going into the 9 and 10 range for this, maybe in my opinion, is not warranted. And that's all. Let's move on before y'all throw tomatoes. We'll talk about a couple of hidden gems, or at least I think they're still kind of hidden, although they're getting more sunlight on YouTube, if you will. And then I have a medium 3 fragrances, and then I'm just going to go with the top 10. So in the category of hidden gem, I'll start off with La Tacita de Café from Day 3 Fragrances. Enjoy these bottles. About $110 on the website. Indie perfumer out of Arizona. These are fashioned after themes from the Dominican Republic. And I would say this is a perfumey coffee smell. Some coffee smells can be fairly literal, like Theodoros Kalotinis, Coffee Addict, and those types. This is an artistic interpretation of coffee. It's warm. It's a little ambery. It definitely has a soft coffee, like imagine coffee with milk in it, almost like a coffee shop smell, a cozy coffee shop smell. I really enjoy this. It is moderate in terms of projection and longevity, not, an overpowering fragrance at all. If you like a soft, subtle, perfumey coffee, check this out. My second in hidden gem category, it's really not hidden. People are starting to talk about this more and more. It is Madera from Omnia Profumi Eau de Parfum. Now, I purchased Platino from this line. I purchased Bronzo, which we're going to talk about in another video. And then I went for this one. And so this fragrance, I was like, oh, woo, woo. I was attracted to it because of the caramel in the fragrance. It is, for me, vanilla, caramel, and coconut. Almost equal parts. I would say the caramel pushes out a little bit more. The vanilla is like the background of the entire thing. It's the backbone of the fragrance. And then the coconut is playing with the caramel. Like they're playing on they're like on a seesaw together, with the caramel slightly heavier than the coconut, if you will, weighing down the seesaw on one side. This is ooey gooey sticky caramel. The longer it sits on my shelf, the more the caramel comes to play. Some of you are going to think the caramel here is synthetic. So I just want to put that out there because I want folks to know what they're getting themselves into with these fragrances. But this is delightful. I enjoyed wearing this. There's a brightness and a happiness to this fragrance. It's like a sunny caramel, coconut, vanilla mixture. I love this. It smelled so good on me, so edible. And performance was, half a day-ish, okay? But I like it, and I really love these bottles. Again, another really hefty bottle. Not sure how I feel about this sticker across the front. It might start to come up after a while. Cap is okay, but the bottle is really nice, and the smell, if you are a gourmand lover and if you like caramel, I would highly suggest at least sampling this to see if it tickles your fancy. If you like a really, really thick, like dripping thick caramel, maybe this isn't for you. It's a little bit lighter than that, but I still find it ooey gooey and delicious. So we're going next to, I would say, a medium 3 category. These are all really nice. They weren't top 10 category, but they're nice and they were very pleasant to wear. I didn't have any stinkers this month that I could beat up on in the award show. Maybe next month we'll come back to low. So first up is from Nobile 1942, and this is Sandalo Nobile. Let me say this, a while back, a bunch of these showed up on Fragrance Net on sale. And so I racked up on probably 5 or 6, some of which I have since sold. I enjoyed them all for different reasons. The question was, could they compete with some of the other ones in my collection? This one here, I'm still holding on to and like, although as I'm bringing new sandalwood fragrances into my collection, I'm wondering about this one. But every time I go to smell it or wear it, I'm like, but I still like you. So this is a beautiful, soft, elegant sandalwood fragrance with some powdery nuances and a really soft background iris note. Sort of a really pure, well, it's powdery and at the same time it has like a creamy texture to it to me. Or maybe even leaning more milky, like thin. It's not quite as like thick as creamy, but a thin texture. This is a pleasant, pleasant sandalwood. If you like sandalwood and you don't want an overpowering fragrance, you want an office-friendly sandalwood or, in a crowd-friendly sandalwood. Those of you, like if my doctor came in to see me and had this scent on, I would think my doctor smelled lovely and elegant without overpowering me, okay? This is a pretty refined scent. It's soft. It doesn't scream. Really nice. Doesn't last forever. Maybe 4 to 6-ish hours, maybe a little bit more than that, but lovely. It is quite lovely. It is quite nice. I've definitely talked about this fragrance quite a bit, so I'll be quick about it. In the same category is Ode to Dullness from Juliet Has a Gun. This is available on Twisted Lily. You can use that Veronica 10 code or Friends. The Sephora sale is going on when this video posts, and you can get 20% off of this fragrance on Sephora if you are Rouge. Clean fragrance, soapy, creamy, woody, clean, delightful fragrance. Period. End of story. Non-offensive. It lasts forever. Well, it lasted a really long time. It went through dinner on me and I put it on at like 7 a.m. in the morning. Okay, let's go on. Last in the medium category is La Fenice Parfum from Merchant of Venice. This does come with like this Flavor Flav gold chain from the 1980s. I took that little chain off. No, 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 no. The bottle itself is really nice, but doesn't tell you what this smells like. You would think that this was light and airy based on what the bottle looks like. And I guess that it is. It's a lot powdery actually. Well, it's not a powder bomb, excuse me, but it does have powderiness. It's more than anything a white floral with some sweetness. There's an almondy touch to it and vanillic. It is soft and light and sweet and powdery. Maybe a little bit more than soft. Maybe it's like medium and sweet and powdery and floral. Very pleasant, beautiful bedtime scent, beautiful like negligee type of scent. It reminds me of the texture of a negligee. That sort of silky softness on your skin is kind of what this reminds me of. Elegant and sweet and very ladylike scent. This is nice. This is nice. Not top 10, but absolutely delightful to wear. Enjoyed this. Would wear this to bed. Would wear this. I would wear this out on a date. I would. If you're into like a powdery, floral, sweet, delicate type of scent. Not that the scent is delicate, but you feel delicate in it, if that makes sense. Okay, friends, and then we have this time in October a top 10, like a 10 all stars category here at the end. What's going on with my lighting? All of a sudden it like brightened up. Anyway, these were the most fabulous fragrances of the month. They're all competing with each other for first place. You're sick of hearing about this next one, and with good reason, because everybody is on the hype train, including myself. I think this is really fabulous. From Giardini di Toscana, Bianco Latte. So let me say this. When I first spray this, this chokes me out. Like I have to spray and leave. I can't stay in the space where I sprayed it because it gets in the back of my throat. It makes me choke. Does anybody else have that experience? And so I feel for me, this smells like the air around a Cinnabon, like at an airport or at the mall, that like cinnamon roll type of smell that comes out and just kind of lures you into that. As you wear this more, it gets a little bit more vanillic and perfumey. Some people pick up a really prominent caramel in the fragrance. I can't say that for me, this is a big caramel fragrance. Maybe as a supporting actor, but more than anything, it's like a cinnamony, false spices, vanillic, and somewhat perfumey fragrance. This thing goes on and on and on forever and ever until the break of dawn. On and on until the break of dawn. Anyway, if you like gourmands, if you like vanilla, if you like false spices, maybe give this one a shot. Next, one of the most unique fragrances in my collection. I can't say that I have anything else that smells like this or that I've sampled anything else that smells like this. And I've sampled a lot of fragrances. This is Panettone from Milano Fragranze. First of all, let's give credit to this house for these really pretty bottles. There's a lot of embossing right into the cap, which is an expensive feature. People don't appreciate things like that, friends, and the fact that it's magnetic and it's metal. This is expensive to produce, and these are relatively inexpensive considering that they're, niche fragrances that can get out of control. I think these bottles are between 100 and 150, if I remember correctly. Yes, it's a sticker, but it's a nice blue bottle. Anyway, let's give it up for the presentation. Have you smelled panettone bread? Because that's what this smells like. I'm talking about the panettone bread that has the fruit in it, not that has the chocolate chips. In fact, we have some downstairs because it's starting to show up at the stores. We got some from Lidl, and then Marshalls and TJ Maxx will have the big ones for the holidays. Get yourself some panettone bread. Woo! Toast it up, put some butter on it. This smells like I stuck my face into some toasted panettone bread. Has a little bit of citrus at the top and that sort of doughy sweetness. Oh, so good. Really panettone. So you gotta like food and you gotta like to smell like that to enjoy this fragrance. But this is really delightful, really special here for the fall and into the holiday season. And then the more that I wear this next fragrance, the crazier that I get for it. And I have to hunt down a full bottle. And I understand it's supposed to be coming back in stock soon. Is it yet? Someone tell me, because I haven't looked. It's Guerlain's Gourmand Cologne. Oh my God. By the way, I do have the Juliana's perfume version, Call Me By Your Name, which is really nice. They're very similar. This one is a little bit more powdery cacao, okay? This one, though, is more elegant and more perfumey. I like them both a lot. I would prefer a really nice full bottle of this. If chocolate had a perfume avatar, this would be it. It's not literal gourmand chocolate that you want to eat. It is a perfume version of chocolate, is all I can say. It even comes across a little boozy. This is super elegant, super ladylike, super refined. And I'm not just saying that because of the price tag. I'm saying it because it actually smells fan-friggin-tastic. So please let me know where I can purchase a full bottle of this and not have to give up a kidney to pay for it. Let's talk. Really good. Fourth in the top 10 all-stars of the month is Tom Ford's Sel Blush, which sits on my husband's shelf. This smells absolutely amazing on his skin. On me, I enjoy it too. It's a little bit spicier and woodier on my skin. One of my favorite sandalwood fragrances of all time. You have to be in the mood for this. It's very much like a boyfriend scent. It smells like, a man's t-shirt. Like that comforting t-shirt where it has a little bit of like the leftover deodorant smell on it. He has maybe slept in it and it has his natural skin. Maybe he was working outside a bit. It's got all of that lovely maleness, that manliness in the fragrance. And it's still very, very wearable for ladies as well. one of the creamiest, most beautiful sandalwoods. If I had to compare this, for example, to that Sandalo Nobile fragrance, this is thicker, creamier, a little bit spicier, and just amazing. Great longevity on this, and we both smell amazing. Truly a unisex scent, even though I described it as smelling, kind of like a man that's been outside and smells fabulous. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Give me a red heart in the comments if you understand what I mean about that really fantastic, intoxicating, manly smell. Now, that with some spiciness and creaminess makes this very easy for ladies to wear as well. Sometimes you don't always want to wear what's seasonally appropriate. You want something else. And so I reached for Miss Dior Absolutely Blooming, one of the best fruity, floral, musky fragrances of ever. You have to like all three things. This is definitely musky and beautiful fruits. I think it's rose and pear and peony, if I remember correctly. Oh, so good. So pretty. It's a very pretty fragrance, okay? Very sort of pink, like a luscious pink if you had to assign a color to the fragrance. Really good, pretty long lasting, loved in this house. So we're going into the final 5, and these are some pretty heavy hitter fragrances. They are serious. I mean, you need to really be into perfume to enjoy these fragrances. Platinum Leather from Carolina Herrera. Gorgeous bottles. This is from the Confidential line. Another really nicely crafted bottle with the magnetic caps and lots of pretty features that cost a whole lot in terms of the production. This smells similar to Bottega Veneta, the leather in Bottega Veneta. Oh, really gorgeous. Imagine Bottega Veneta even like on steroids. A beautiful, soft, sultry leather. It's not your cowboy, rough and tumble type of leather. It's a really soft, almost sweet leather. The same way that Bottega Veneta has a little bit of patchouli in it, this has some patchouli also. It has some musky tones to it. But the leather stands out to me, and I find this to be a very intoxicating, easily wearable leather by ladies. Now, if you're not a leather fan, please don't experiment with this fragrance as your first leather. But if you are experienced with leather types of fragrances and you want something that's a little bit softer around the edges, but still with a lot of presence, what someone might call like a boss lady type of fragrance, this is your very structured linen suit type of leather. Beautiful. Really enjoyed wearing this. Another one that my husband just loved on me, raved when I wore it. And I'm glad I pulled it out because sometimes I forget about my leather corner because you got to be in the mood to wear leather or it will what? Wear you. And so this was one that I was in the mood for on the day that I pulled for it. And it's exquisite. Moving along, a fragrance that people either love or they absolutely can't stand it. And I'm in the love territory. I was iffy about it when I first tried it. Beast mode upon beast mode upon beast mode. Al Haramain Amber Oud, the gold edition. This is said to be a dupe for Herba Pura from Xerjoff. It is that fruity musk DNA. In fact, this has some similarities to that Sirrah fragrance that I mentioned, except this is heavier on the fruit. And definitely a thick, pungent musk. You gotta like musk. This is a fragrance that some people might consider to be nauseating because it is so strong and overpowering. So I sprayed way too much initially when I first wore it a while back, like several years ago. And I've learned to be very light on the trigger with this. A few sprays will take you through the entire day. It smells intoxicating in the ear to other people. If you spray too much and people get close to you, it's going to be nauseating. So just be careful with that. But this line from Al Haramain are some of my favorite dupe fragrances, the ones that look like these bottles. In fact, when it comes to dupes, Al Haramain makes some of the best and actually puts them in nice bottles. So this is a great one. Moving along in the top 10, a recent addition to my collection and an absolute beauty for my tastes. So many of you, especially my ladies in the audience, won't be into this scent profile. This is Alghabra, Eye of Seven Hills. Love the name of that. It's got a little bit of artwork on the back there. I've tested a number of others from this house and liked maybe 2 or so more. I didn't love as many as I thought that I would. But if you like Side Effect from Initio, it is very reminiscent of that. I wouldn't call it an exact dupe of that, but it's in that same family. Imagine like if Side Effect and maybe Naxos or one of the tobacco fragrances got together and mingled, you might get something like this. It is spicy, it is boozy, it almost has a leathery feel to it. There's some sweetness, heavy saffron note. I find this to be intoxicating. It's Unisex, leaning a little masculine, so keep that in mind. Very long lasting, very powerful, very much a fall and winter scent. I didn't spray a whole lot, and it took me through the entire day. If you spray too much, it can be overpowering. And for me, I could see that if I spray too much, it would lean heavy on maybe like the leathery types of aspects, the woody, leathery, saffrony types of aspects. But the spray light and the spicy, boozy parts of it will play nicely, at least on my skin. It did. It will hopefully play nicely on yours too. But this is, ooh, so good, so strong, and so appropriate for fall and winter weather. The last two, and I will say I wore some others that I wanted to talk about, like Blanche Bette. I'm going to give that girl a break and keep her up on the shelf, but she's lovely. I love some Blanche Bette. But let's talk about Coffee Addict from Theodoros Kalotinis, maybe one that you've also heard about a lot, but maybe you haven't. I just want to shout out this brand. Like I mentioned, I'm wearing Tobacco Maniac from this brand today. This is an indie slash niche perfumer that has his fragrances still pretty well priced. He's out of Greece, and so you'll have to pay the shipping if you go to the website. But the fragrances themselves, I think I got this for like $50 US, and sometimes he runs 30 and 40% off sale. So keep an eye on his site. This fragrance is one of my favorite coffee fragrances, maybe the best coffee fragrance that I have smelled in a very long time. It's like a latte that has frothed milk in it. It's gotten pumped up at Starbucks with some shots of caramel syrup, has a little milkiness and a really nice, dark, deep coffee. Really good, really long lasting. Again, another one that's a powerhouse of a fragrance, so a few sprays will get you through the day. Kind of photorealistic in terms of smelling like a coffee slash latte type of fragrance. So if you don't like that, if you don't want to smell like foodie and sweet, you're not going to like this. I would say go for like La Tacita de Café, that fragrance, or Golden Dollar from Xerjoff, which is another sort of really interpretive, deep, dark Arabic coffee fragrance. This one smells like a Starbucks drink, and it's good, good. And then I will end with one of my favorite fall fragrances. I think I had this in my warm and spicy fragrance video because it reminds me more of that, although it could have been in a vanilla and in a caramel and in a coffee video too. It is Caf Cabanel in this really kitschy bottle. This is cute, really cute bottle. This is one of the warmest, spiciest. It's a beautiful, lovely cinnamon fragrance with soft coffee, beautiful thick vanilla, really nice sweet vanilla, and some sweet caramel tones. It's just exquisite. This is almost like the sophisticated perfume version, like an older, more perfumey, refined version of this one, which is more like Starbucks-ish. This is in the perfume territory, but still very gourmand and sweet and delicious and sophisticated and so warm. The temperature on this is that warm cup of delicious, spicy coffee. You put your spices in it, the fall spiced coffee. Like, I think Starbucks sells a holiday coffee, a fall holiday coffee that reminds me of what this would smell like if you had frothed milk in that and some caramel also. Longevity is medium, moderate projection. This one is more beast mode in terms of projecting and long lasting. But wow, there's some like a magical factor in this fragrance that I just really adore. Those are the October Fragrance Awards. I hope you have a fabulous Halloween tonight or day whenever you're seeing this. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for hanging out with me. I know this was a long one. And if you're still here, you're what? A real one. Take care, friends.